Assassin's Creed Shadows, Ubisoft's next installment of what?
Assassin's Creed.
Oh, Shadows. Yeah,
Yeah, Assassin's Creed Shadow.
yeah, coming out.
Ubisoft's next installment of Assassin's Creed.
Oh, you're just repeating what I said.
This is the show, guy.
Yeah.
Adam just says stuff, and then I just repeat it and go,
Yeah.
yeah. I just wanted to throw out here, I think it's kind of funny that not only have we practiced this and already done this little segment of the show last week, but we are again doing it this week, of course, because it's a game that we wanted to talk about. And we've now had 2 weeks to figure out how to say these characters' names, and we still don't know how to do it.
Yeah, we're struggling with that. So, like we said, this is Assassin's Creed Shadows. It's taking place in Japan. Shall we pull up the trailer, Dave?
Let's pull up the trailer. And guys, just real quick, again, we are going to, a little disclaimer here. We are saying the names of these characters to the best of our ability. We've watched a lot of videos. We've read a lot of articles, and there are just based on where you are in the world and which type of accent that you have. I've just heard these characters' names said so many different ways, and I just cannot get confirmation from Ubisoft on how to actually say them. So if you guys, if first and foremost, if we are saying them wrong and you know how to correctly say them, we are sorry. And if you guys want to let us know down in the comments if we are saying them wrong, how to correctly say them, that would be very much appreciated, because I cannot find it anywhere.
Or if we're saying it right, let us know that. Either way. But here's the trailer. Let's pull it up.
Let's pull up the trailer, and I'm going to be honest here, guys. I have not been excited for Assassin's Creed games in a very long time. Until now. Until today. And if you guys are just listening, what we're looking at right now is the best setting in video games. We are looking at late 16th century feudal Japan. And this is the absolute perfect place for Assassin's Creed to go for me to kind of pull me back. But the thing that I really noticed about the game right off the bat, it just, I don't want to say it feels like it's gonna play different, but it just feels like I know it's a totally different location, but it just feels like a different vibe in general. Like, are you getting that? Yeah,
I would imagine. I would agree. It just feels like it's gonna have an element of really being the shinobi, which is the character we're seeing right now, like the more assassin play, or play as the samurai, like the brute force. So you're gonna have a way to play it both ways, and like this, I think the trailer does a good job showing that. It's just a cinematic trailer, but I really think it shows that kind of contrast between the two characters very well.
Yeah, and if you guys are just listening, they gave you that nice little split screen right there where it kind of showed the first interaction between those two characters. And the character on the left was the female character. I'm so sorry if I'm saying this wrong. I have this as Naoe, and the character on the right as Yasuke. And I think it's really interesting that they're combining these two into one style of gameplay, because very much so Naoe is going to be the kind of traditional Assassin's Creed character, whereas Yasuke is going to be like a very new type of element, a different type to like a different way to play Assassin's Creed games that I'm not really sure we've ever gotten before.
I would say the closest thing that we're getting to, or like that it is of other Assassin's Creed games, is Valhalla. Like Valhalla had less of the stealth and more just go at the enemies, where this is getting the best of both of those worlds in a way.
Yeah, and I think one of the really cool things is that you know, Assassin's Creed's kind of lost its way. In the beginning, they were really kind of focused on historical accuracy and using historical figures and stuff like that, and I feel like they kind of moved off of that path a little bit, but they feel like they're coming back to it now, because these characters that we're seeing in this trailer right now are inspired by actual, like, real life historical figures. Now, right now we're seeing this clip of Naoe jumping across the bridge. Now, Naoe is a fictional character, but the way that she's being presented, she is the daughter of a real life historical figure, which is Shinobi Fuji Bayashi Nagato. So she's connected to a real character, and Yasuke is actually a real historical figure, which I did not know. And I think it's really cool. He was a real person who arrived in Japan in 1579. So you're actually playing as a historical figure this time. And I think that's really, really cool. I'm glad that they're kind of bringing that back.
Right. And then that makes it so much more immersive, I think. And kind of, yes, it's not going to be completely accurate. And it doesn't need to be, because obviously we weren't there, and things are going to be like told different ways as like history goes on. But
yeah,
I'm excited about this one.
And it's like they're not gonna. So what I've kind of looked up is that Yasuke is like he arrived in 1579, but there's not like a lot about him. People don't know a lot of his story. They just know that he existed. So it's not like they have to follow any type of storyline or anything like that. So I think using a historical figure just to be like, listen, we're going back to the kind of like, we want to bring in real life people into the game is awesome. And then choosing a character where they don't have to be tied down by, historical events that people know about is just a solid choice.
Definitely agree. And I like the two character choices, like and the, like we already said, like the difference between the two. Like Naoe is gonna play more as that assassin. She won't really be able to like parry the bigger enemies and things like that. And like she's gonna be more focused on the stealth. And then whereas Yasuke, he's more like up close and personal with the big like melee weapons. He'll be able to do more of the blocks and the parries, and it's so cool. And for me, like I love the assassin, like the sneaking around and stab people and things like that. That's my type of play that I like.
Yeah, and Yasuke is the type of play that I like. I mean, you guys know I love a strength build and just going in there and hitting stuff hard. And I think it's really interesting because you're gonna get people that are one way or the other, but the really interesting thing about this game is that you're allowed seamless switching, a lot like GTA and stuff like that. But they're saying that the quests require you to switch at times. I mean, I can't imagine it's like an absolute. I'm pretty sure you could go through this whole game playing as one character, but there's gonna be situations where it's like, listen, the smart move here is I don't care if you're a strength build. The smart move here is be stealth. You know what I mean? And you're going to want to switch to Naoe, and you're going to want to be able to use, her assets. And it's like, I think that's a really great dynamic that's going to give you a lot of diversity in the gameplay and keep you interested throughout the entire storyline.
I don't know if it's going to be like directly like that, or is that what you read where it's like you can complete the whole game that way? Or is it going to be kind of like GTA where like you do these 3 missions, but okay, now you got to switch over to Michael and then do these, and then like the story comes together?
They're saying that you can switch in between the quests based on which character you want to be. So I'm gonna I'm gonna assume that you're going to have to play certain things as both characters. Like it wouldn't make sense to have 2 characters and you just always play as Naoe and just like Yasuke doesn't matter. So you're gonna have to play some stuff, but I think you're gonna have a lot of options too, where it's like these missions where you are taking part of both of them. It feels like you're gonna be able to do it whichever way you want to do it, but there's definitely a way that they kind of think that you should do it, if that makes sense.
It's cool that you'll be able to essentially play whoever you want to play as, like the majority of the game. Like you said, I don't think it's going to be so strict where like you have to play as Naoe at this part of the game because Yasuke, how do you say it again?
Yasuke.
Yasuke. Yeah, Yasuke is like trapped or something like that. I think it's going to give you the option for most of it, like you said, and then situation wise, you'll have to switch between characters. And then between the characters, I know for sure that they have different skill trees and different abilities that you unlock the more you play each of those characters, which is that's like kind of typical for games like this. Like if you play as one character, you'll level that one up faster.
I think that split is really well done because they're also talking about how you establish relationships with people. And you can establish different relationships with the same person based on who you are. Now you can interact with a merchant or something, and it's like with Naoe, you're very respectful and you're very polite, and the merchant really likes you and kind of hooks you up and stuff like that. Whereas Yasuke, maybe you went in a little heavy and you tried strong arming him, and now he doesn't like you, and you have these different dynamics based on how you interact with which character you are at that time, and I love that.
I haven't been excited for Assassin's Creed games actually ever. Like this is probably like the one that really brought me in. And so now I've been playing Origins, and I'm really enjoying Origins. And they're saying that this one is going to be very similar in the size, map-wise, to Origins. And for me, like I've been playing Origins probably like 4 or 5 hours, and I still have not gotten anywhere in terms of like completing the whole map. And that's something like, are all Assassin's Creed games like where you level up and like it's, let's say you're level 13 and you're trying to, and like the next mission wants you to be level 16. Is that, are all of them like that?
A lot of the Assassin's Creeds are like that. There was even times I do believe, and again, let me know if I'm wrong, but in the earlier games, I think that parts of the map were even locked if you weren't a certain level. So yeah, they want you to get to a certain point before you progress the storyline to a certain point, if that makes sense.
I guess that's what I don't like about these. So like, and I know like Dave, you know how I am with these games. I just want to get through the story.
Yeah.
I want like, I wish the game, like in terms of Assassin's Creed, I want the game to, once I complete a story mission, I want to be ready for the next story mission. Like at that level of the next story mission. I don't want to have to do side quests to get from level 13 to level 18. That's my next like next level suggested level for the mission. And like I tried doing it at level 13 and I just got murder balled after like one hit. And it's like, okay, that's a little frustrating. Like I don't mind doing the story or side quests, but like I only have so much time to play these games at a time. And I bought 3 of them. So
I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of with you on that. Now you love that nobody loves a great side quest more than me. I do basically everything that's in the game, and I do it as soon as it pops up because I don't want to miss it. But I do understand the frustration there. I think if you're looking at specifically just completing the game with gameplay, yeah, once you complete one mission, you should be ready to go to the next one. So, the side quest should be optional, fully optional, not like it's optional, but you really need to do it.
yeah, you need to do a bunch of them so you can get up to the level you need to stand a chance against these enemies. And it could be I'm just get good kind of issue, but I'm not good. And I want to just keep on moving on. Just want to keep on keeping on. But some other things about the game, I think one thing that is very exciting about this one is the dynamic weather that the game is going to have. You saw a lot of that, right? Where essentially the way you play also matters in the season that you're playing in. So the way you play in winter is going to be completely different than how you play in spring or summer, and I think that's really cool.
I think it's a really interesting dynamic, and I'm excited to see it work because they're saying, like we said, that there's going to be changes in the seasons, and the seasons will affect things in the game. Primarily layouts and like hiding spots and things like that. Like obviously in the winter, there's like things are going to be more covered up. You're not going to be able to use waterways, things like that. Like in the summer, you might be able to find like some different kind of locations, different openings, and ways to get into places and stuff like that. And the one thing that I thought was really interesting is they were talking about the dynamic of the people in the story, where if and this has a lot. I don't know if this has a lot to do with the main story missions, but it definitely has a lot to do with the side missions, like the optional stuff on when you decide to do this. Because they were saying that, like, okay, in the summer, if you go to an area, it's probably going to be more populated, but more spread out populated. What is that? What's a term for that? Spread out. It's gonna be more spread out populated, where people are kind of moving about and doing things like that. But when you go to the same spot in winter, it's gonna be more densely populated because all these it's cold and like people want to stay by the warmth for the winter. They're not out walking the trails in the winter. They're kind of in the castle by the fire, staying warm and stuff like that. So doing these side quests are gonna be totally different based on when you decide to do it. You know what I mean? You could have a side quest that you do in the summer where you're super stealthy and sneaking through the fields and killing a bunch of people, or it's like, oh crap, I did this in the winter, everybody's in this main hall, like now I just have to go in there and just try to murder ball 50 people that are all in one room. Like it's totally different experience.
And I think with that, it's not only just the weather where you have to do that, it's also like night and day too, and like actually hiding in shadows. Like they say that the shadows are going to play a big role in it, like just the dynamic lighting. So like you'll be easily spotted in like sunlight, obviously, but if you're hiding in a shadow, kind of similar to the like the bushes that you hide in many of the Assassin's Creed games, if you're not hiding in the shadows, you'll be easily spotted. And I think that's really cool. And they're just expanding on the one element of a game that is like essentially made the game. They're just making it more ingrained into what Assassin's Creed is becoming. I think that's really cool.
And this dynamic system, I think, is something that's really exciting for not only this game, but the just the future of gaming as a whole, right? Because it's such a more immersive, realistic experience, and like we've probably all been there where it's like you're playing a game and you're kind of ducked down and you're hiding and you should not be seen, but for whatever reason, like the enemy just gets close enough to you to trigger that little hitbox that notifies them that you're there, and you're like, "How did you see me?" You know what I mean? And it's like that's exciting that they're finally going to be able to like figure out a way where it's not just some type of like hitbox tracking system where if they get close to you, like you're screwed, like you're actually hiding right now. And I'm excited for that and to see how other developers and other franchises use that going down the road.
The game is just offering or adding so much more to what they've already kind of built on in a good way. I don't know if there's a couple other things that maybe some people aren't as excited about, but the bird that they've had in like a lot of previous Assassin's Creed games is not going to be in this one.
Yeah, you're going to be opening up the vantage points other ways, but I mean that's
Yeah, it's fine. I don't think it's a make or break the game. You'll have a grappling hook as the Naoe or as Naoe. But one thing I don't understand or like what this means, it says the grappling hook will you can use it, but you'll have consequences of using it. So I wonder if it's one of those things like if you like use it from too high up and you like smack into a wall, you're dead, like kind of situation. Like I'm curious to know what those consequences are.
so. I was reading about this, and I don't really know a good way to kind of explain it. But the theory behind the grappling hook that I've heard is that it is not perfect, and it's meant to be that way because if you they're going for realism here, right? So if you think of the realism of using a grappling hook, there's going to be room for error. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna have spots where you miss. Like you're gonna have spots where like the rope is kind of swaying and stuff like that. So it's not gonna feel like in Arkham where you hit the grappling hook and it's just automatic.
Yeah,
Nothing bad can ever happen to you.
right.
I think they're gonna put in some room for error. So I mean, there could be some spots where you go for the grappling hook and like it unhooks itself, or like it might not throw you exactly where you're trying to go. Yeah, so I think they're trying to introduce an element of realism and an element of like fault to the grappling hook to give it a little bit more of a realistic vibe.
Or like you have to aim it, and if you miss, like you have to reel it back in while the enemies are chasing you, or something like that. Something that would be yeah, that makes sense.
Something like that. I mean, they're trying. What I read is they're trying to give it this element of not being perfect because in real life it would not be perfect. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I mean, it's probably gonna frustrate some people. I'm not gonna lie. There's gonna be some people that kind of love it. There's gonna be some people that kind of love it in the beginning, but then towards the end are gonna be like, dang it, I just want this freaking grappling hook to work right." You know what I mean? But that and again, I'm not 100% sure, but that's just kind of what I've read on it, and it sounds interesting to me. I want to see I want to see the percentage of error. You know what I mean? Like I want to see how many times they make it mess up.
We'll find out. But other than that, I'm really excited about this one. One thing that has like brought people some frustration, but I think Ubisoft has clarified this in general. It says internet access is required to install it, but you do not need internet access to play it. So essentially, if you buy the game as a disc, you have to use it. The disc is essentially the app that installs the game, essentially. And that's just because like day one patches and things like that, but you will not need an internet access to play the game.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why we re-record the podcast so that I don't say stupid things like what I said on the last show,
Yeah.
where I had thought that you needed online access to play this game.
Nope, you do not need online
you do
access
not.
to play the game. Anything else that you want to bring up to about the game? I mean, there's different editions. It's standard, gold, ultimate. It's all the same with Ubisoft in terms of those. If you like that stuff, look at what each provides, but I don't think we need to go into all that. It's all the same with Ubisoft with that kind of stuff.
I mean, I'm super excited for the game. Run through a couple quick bullet points here, things I thought were really interesting. They said they're going to be introducing dual style fights, which I thought was really interesting. I feel like it's gonna give it's. Have you ever played Ghost of Tsushima? Okay, so Ghost of Tsushima. I hate trying to say that word. Ghost players, if you guys have played, know what I'm talking about with this dual type thing. I'm curious to know if they're gonna kind of replicate that same thing. If they do, I'm a big fan of the dual fight, so I'm excited that they're including that. Um, Recruiting allies with the spy network is back. Also, big thing that's coming back is the customizable hideout where you can decorate, craft, train. Just like Valhalla, I'm a sucker for getting my hideout space and decorating it with all the goodies that you can find throughout the land. And the very last thing is they are introducing dungeons, which I am a big fan of. Yeah.
That's right. You had mentioned that.
Yeah. So the dungeons are supposed to be. The dungeons are optional, but inside the dungeons, it's going to give you very much of like a more of a Zelda-y kind of Tomb Raider kind of vibe, where you're gonna have to go through and kind of solve some puzzles and fight some baddies and stuff like that. And at the end of the dungeon, you'll get a pretty sweet prize if you complete it. Not for everybody. I know it's not for everybody. People like Adam don't really enjoy doing puzzles in games. I do like to take a break and just kind of do some puzzles and mess through a dungeon every once in a while. So I am excited that they're bringing those in, and they do promise that if you do them, you're going to get some pretty good loot.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. One more thing to note. This is not for last gen, PS4, Xbox One, or the Switch. So sorry, guys.
It's
Moving
official.
on. Just kidding.
It's official. It is official. The PS4 and the Xbox One are dead.